Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing amazing. I am shooting on site out here. We've got a Brokers Open about to begin here out in Chiliota. So I am sitting in one of the horse stalls in a barn here doing this. So sometimes we got to take our show on the road, but I wanted to make sure it still happens because as we talk about a lot, we've got to make sure that we don't let off the gas even amidst calendar challenges. I would love to have shot this earlier, didn't get a chance to. There was just things that kept coming up. And so I want to make sure I'm really fighting to live by that. And so one of the things we do on a regular basis, talk about our theme days. Today is lead day, is Wednesday, lead day. We follow up with all of our leads. If I've got somebody that is a lead that I've not had an opportunity to get in touch with yet, that I am still maybe chasing, nurturing, this is the day we continue fighting that good fight. So I don't want to let today go by without doing that. I didn't want to let today go by without making sure that I had this done and pushed out as a podcast. So try and living through that, through this lived experience. This is a journey. I'm on a journey. You're on a journey. And one of the things I want to talk about, I was reading yesterday, and it was talking about Paul in the Bible talking to the Corinthians about carrying the church forward and how to be clear on your mission, how to communicate clearly, how to see yourself through the lens of others that you're trying to impact. And I think a lot of us need to take a step back and really consider that as a part of our business, as to how are we going to double down on the things that we deem are incredibly important, on the business that we want to create, on the people and the lives that we want to impact. How do we do that? So I had a conversation with some of our leads team, and the reality is there is a cost of obtaining new business. There is a cost of chasing leads. And so, and I love when I see people online that say, I've never paid for leads in my whole life. Okay, cool. So either your business is small or you're just not considering the efforts and the output and the marketing expenses that you do a cost, right? And because the reality is either you pay Zillow for a lead, you pay realtor.com for a lead, you pay another agent for a referral, or you dedicate time and money into entertaining, into being in front of people, into marketing, into calling, into doing the work. There's a cost of obtaining business. And so on a P&L, a profit and loss statement, if you're not familiar, on a profit and loss statement, we like to get down to understanding what is all of my costs of doing business divided by the amount of leads, right? And that would be your lead acquisition cost. People say, well, I didn't spend all that money on leads. You have to have a business that is sustainable in operation in order to have leads to generate, right? It makes no sense otherwise. Like if you were just a non-realtor and somebody says you're doing about your life and they say, well, I need a referral, and you send them to an agent, like you're not in a position to capture that lead, therefore there's no real cost. But when you're in this business and your bread and butter is finding people who are looking to buy and sell, we've got to understand what is my cost of being in business so that I can capitalize on that relationship, so that I can potentially have a chance of converting it to a real transaction. That's how we get paid. So we want to understand two things. We want to understand what is our cost of acquisition, and then we want to understand what is our average cost of a closed lead, right? These are two different things. We've got leads, and I need 100 leads in order to close 15, right? Because everyone is not going to close. Every listing is not going to sell. This one will sell, but every listing will not sell. And so we've got to understand that we're going to put effort and a lot of money and investment and time and energy into these things that ultimately sometimes won't close. But that's all for the purpose of playing the game so that we can have enough opportunities that will close. That's how we get paid. So my challenge to you, and I want you to really think about this, is have you committed yourself to anything enough so that it will increase the likelihood of your ability to convert it into business? Let me give you an example. EXP just rolled out. They've got a program, and it is an awesome program. If you're listening to EXP, if you're listening to this and you're with EXP, I challenge you to go pursue it further. It's called FastCap. It's put out by some great people in the training education department. It's led by different realtors who have had a lot of success in the business. And so it is dynamic coaching, but more than coaching, it is accountability. You have to show up to the meetings. You have to turn in your activities, right? And I'll tell you, if you say, well, that sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, it is. I paid for coaching for 6 years at an extremely high level. It was extremely, at times, obnoxious in terms of the amount of work that it required. but it was some of the most fruitful outcomes and fruitful experiences and years that you could possibly imagine. Because all that is the accountability of there's someone that I am accountable to doing the work to. And if you're not accountable to anyone, you're not going to do the work. Like left to our own devices, we are not going to do this, right? So find some way to be accountable. The reality is, if you do go through FastCap and you are in there, there's going to be a period of time where you're going to have access to the leads that come out of, I believe it's called realty.com. It's a new program that's rolled out that is bringing new business. It's competing with the Zillows and competing with, and these are free leads if you do the program. Because what do they know? People who do the program are willing to be held accountable, are willing to follow up with their leads, are going to do the work. Like there's something about actually caring and committing to something that is going to allow you to yield fruit. Okay. But here's my suggestion. If you're going to take part in this, continue to take part. It's a 6-week program. I would do it and start again the next 6 weeks and start again the next 6 weeks, because what's going to happen over time is you're going to build habits. You're going to build relationships. You're going to get to know the people who actually are the ones out assigning the leads. And this is not just for this program. I'm telling you, this is the mentality you want to have for anything you're pursuing. If you are pursuing it, commit to it, commit to doing it, and then understand that you are a manager of your business, and that's an account that you are trying to build, right? So for me, I'm the lead on our Zillow preferred team. I have to be in Vegas every October. I have to be on a call every other week with our growth manager. I have to make sure our team's metrics are updated and turned in. And so that is all for the purpose of managing the business so that we can maintain the account. If you stop doing those things, the account goes away, right? And so that's where if someone comes into our team and feels like they are due leads from that without any output, without any expense or effort on their part, they're missing the boat and they ultimately will not make it. And so if Zillow is something that you want to be a part of and you're on a team that does that, you've got to understand that there's effort required. You've got to understand that you've got to treat it like an account. How do they perceive me? What can I do to help? Not what can I do to get? What can I do to help? Because I want to manage that account. I want to show up. I don't want to just be a squeaky wheel that says I need more. I want to be someone who is pushing into the relationship saying, how do I help this be better? How do I help? How do I spend the extra time so that I can show up? The same is going to be true with stuff like this. We're running a Brokers Open. If you're not ever at anyone else's Brokers Open, don't expect anyone to show up to yours. My listing coordinator, Lori, rock star. We've been a part of a group that does these for 8 years, 10 years, right? And so only when our listings fit into the type of thing that would fit onto their Brokers Opens, we can expect a great outpouring of people, right? So what is it you want to pursue? Don't pursue 10 different things. Pursue 2, 3 things that you can really commit yourselves to. Treat it like an account. Treat it like a job. Show up. Ask how you can help, right? Those who ask for help all the time and commit themselves to being better and doing the work are going to have the outcome they're looking for. So here's a few that you could pursue, that you could consider, and you're going to figure out how to generate business from it. Farming your neighborhood. You can't farm it for a couple weeks. You can farm it for years before you expect results. But to do that, you're going to be at the community events. You're going to be involved in the community page. You're going to be on the neighborhood chat. If you don't like any of these things, that might not be a good opportunity for you, right? We want to find where the opportunity overlaps with the things that you're willing and happy doing. If you're not happy doing it, I'm just telling you, don't do it. Find something that fits, right? The person that hates that may be very good at investment real estate, right? Where it's very numbers and driven and deal driven, and you're just connecting the dots with an investor and a buyer and a seller for sale by owners. Like if you want to pursue that, you've got to commit to that. Look at that. How do you relate to that person? What is the process you're going to use? And how many of those people can you talk to on a regular basis? If you want to push into a relationship with a philanthropic group, man, you need to commit. You need to be on the membership board. You need to be a part of a planning committee. You got to show up. You're going to fill your calendar with these things, right? Because if you don't treat it like that, you're not going to build a depth of relationship. And so my final parting words for you today to a couple things that you can niche down on and be an absolute expert. If you wanted to be an expert at something like this, farm property, and you wanted that to be your niche, I freaking love that for you. It can be a lot of fun, but you need to double down. If you want to start from ground zero, you need to double down. You need to understand who are the players in that space. You need to become a part of equestrian communities. You might need to be going to events on the weekend in Ocala at the at the World Equestrian headquarters, right? You might need to be going down to Wellington and be understanding who are the people that move this market. You can start to speak the way in which they speak, understand the way in which they operate, the things that they're looking for. And so you can do that in any particular market, any particular niche. Double down, recommit. This becomes a job. But if you can if your job can overlap with a passion, you're going to go to that next level. But I challenge you, just show up and continue showing up. Have a great Wednesday.